Hi there. My name is Robert Foreman, and this is part of my Substack. And today I'm responding to the readings for today, actually. The readings for today are Matthew 9 and 10. Um, and it looks like this. Let me see if I can call it up for you. So it looks like this. It's about Jesus walking around and whatnot. He's dealing with his disciples, and he's going to send them out as evangelists. And then he says, "See, I am sending you out like sheep into the midst of wolves. So be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. Beware of them, for they will hand you over to councils and flog you in their synagogues, and you will be dragged before governors and kings because of me, as a testimony to them and the Gentiles. Brother will betray brother to death, and a father his child, and children will rise against parents and have them put to death, and you will be hated by all of them because of my name." So the part I want to respond to is I'm sending you out like sheep into the midst of wolves. Be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. So I read that and I find myself quite conflicted. I turn on the news these days and I hear someone say, "Immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. People should go back to their shithole countries. The Haitians are eating the dogs and eating the cats. The Hispanics are coming in caravans. The mainstream news is fake. Fake, fake, fake. We should punch those protesters in the face." Honestly, I don't know how to respond to someone who talks about other human beings like that. And I don't know quite how to respond to people who cheer him on. Nor do I know how to respond when the other side returns the favor with equal outrage. Those people are xenophobes. They're racists. They are destroying democracy. They are fascists. They are insurrectionists. As a nation these days, we are facing a political and a moral crisis. Anger on the right begets anger on the left, and the rage and the shouting ricochets back and forth. Part of me wants to say, well, part of me wants to just shout at them and say, "You dirty chuff!" And part of me wants to stop caring, crawl under the covers, and take a nap. Jesus had a word for people caught up in these cycles. He called them wolves. Wolves. There are wolves out there, he told his disciples. In their anger, they will hand you over to councils and they will flog you in their meeting rooms and they will drag you before authorities. Wolves. I think most of us know something about wolves like that. I know I do. I've been confronted by furious conservatives. I've also been confronted by furious progressives, especially when I use the wrong words. God forbid I should suggest that the invasion of Iraq or Iran wasn't entirely unjustified or entirely justified. Most of us have felt the heat of someone's certainty, the fury of someone who knows beyond all doubt that they are right and you are wrong. The politics may differ, certainly the policies may differ, but in one respect, the two sides do not differ at all. The anger is the same. It's the same red face. It's the same clenched fists. It's the same racing pulse. What characterizes these wolves is not their ideology, it is their anger. Anger fueled the Holocaust. Anger fueled the Inquisition in the 13th century. And anger fuels the hatred of immigrants, the hatred of MAGA, the hatred of liberals, the hatred of outsiders of any kind, people outside your own way of thinking about things. Do you remember the song the Kingston Trio used to sing called the Merry Minuet? The French hate the Germans hate the Poles, Italians hate Yugoslavs, South Africans hate the Dutch, and I don't like anybody very much. Because if we're honest, most of us have our own little list of people that we hate. The objects change, but the anger doesn't. Rage is the wolf's stock in trade. Here enter Jesus of Nazareth. He says, there are wolves out there. Be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. It's one of his more marvelous paradoxes. Because after all, snakes sometimes eat doves. And I don't think he's saying that the serpent should devour the dove. He's saying that somehow we must become both. But how? One temptation is simply to surrender, to lie down, to let the wolves do their thing, to give up. When the Nazis swept across Europe, many people simply despaired. I probably would have, frankly, knowing myself. When ICE comes after some poor immigrant, many of us secretly hope that they will just leave us and our friends alone and just go away. But Jesus rejects such resignation. Be wise as a serpent, he says. Don't be naive. Don't be gullible. If someone is gaming the system, for example, if they're gerrymandering their state, we cannot respond merely by pretending the game doesn't exist. If you do, you're not virtuous. You're just a sucker. We need some of the serpent's cunning. Of course, the danger in this is obvious. We become one of them. We become manipulative, deceitful, consumed by strategy. The danger of fighting the wolves is that eventually you come to resemble one. Which brings us to the dove. The dove is pure, not pure on the outside like ivory soap. Remember ivory soap? 99 and 44 100th% pure? No, what he's pointing to is becoming inwardly pure in the sense of becoming inwardly whole, unconflicted. Pure in the sense that you've not allowed hatred to colonize your heart. Pure in the sense of being 99 and 44 100th% aligned with your own peaceable depths, without a trace of that nagging voice of guilt or guile. You're pure. Jesus is saying, be shrewd, but do not become cynical. Be strategic, but do not become hateful. When we confront injustice, when we confront political madness, when we confront genuine threats, Jesus says, be wise, but remain whole. Be strategic, but remain peaceful. Be shrewd, but don't become hateful. Now, you might think, I have thought, that anger is more fundamental. After all, human history has been chock-a-block full with wars and conflict almost from the dawn of time. And even if 100 people today are peaceful, it only takes one person to start shouting and then our peace is shattered. We might think that war and violence and anger are more fundamental. But I am not convinced that anger is the most fundamental. In fact, I think anger is fundamentally weak and secondary. Anger must constantly be fed. Hatred requires fuel. You must teach people who to hate. The immigrant, the Jew, the Muslim, the Christian, the liberal, the conservative, the trans person, the billionaire, the poor. The list goes on and on. Hatred is always hungry. It always needs another enemy, another grievance, another outrage, another target. In the little shop of horrors, Audrey II devours more and more and more. It was never satisfied. Hatred is like that. It eats and it eats and it eats until it consumes everything around itself. Until finally it consumes itself. Peace, on the other hand, is different. It requires no fuel. It needs no enemies. It needs no propaganda. It doesn't need constant reinforcement. Anger is loud. Anger is dramatic, but it is not deep. And in that sense, I think it is weak. Peace is what remains when anger exhausts itself. I believe that peace is closer to our deepest nature than is anger. For beneath all the noise, beneath all the self-righteousness, beneath all the yelling, there remains something quiet, something older and more enduring. What remains is peace. Beneath all our shouting, beneath all our blaming and fear, there remains something in the human spirit that longs to come home. The possibility of reconciliation always remains, even when it seems impossibly far away. So I do not despair. I don't think we should despair. No matter how much anger fills our politics, no matter how many wolves are howling, the possibility of peace always remains. Our task is to be wise as serpents when wisdom is required, to be courageous when courage is required, to be strategic when strategy is required, but also to remain whole, centered, and inwardly unconflicted, to embody the peace that we hope the world might one day know. Our task is to take the next step towards peace, to gather with others in peace, as we try to do here week after week. As we try to do in a church week after week. To refuse to let hatred have the final word. To live as though the arc of human history bends, however slowly, towards reconciliation. To live as though peace is more fundamental than anger, for it is. To love as though love is more fundamental than fear, for it is. To live as though wolves do not represent the deepest truths about human beings, for beneath the shouting, beneath the hatred, peace is still there waiting for us. So I say, beneath all the fear, beneath all the wolves' howls, change is a comin', peace is a waitin'. As it says in the song, change is a comin', oh yeah. Change is a comin', change is a comin', change is a comin', oh yeah. Amen.